Oh my gosh, you're here!
Welcome to My Chatbot Life, where chatbot marketers share high converting strategies in this new conversational marketplace. Each week, MKJ introduces you to bot builders who are just like you, a little techie, a little markety, and a whole lot of geeky. Buckle up as Chatbot Mom enjoys another journey into My Chatbot Life.
All right, bot buddies, welcome to the conversation. MKJ here. You know me, Mary Catherine Johnson, Messenger Funnels, Bot Academy. But I get to introduce you to a gentleman that I've just recently met as well, Christoph Börner, and he is the CEO and founder of Botium. Hello there, Christoph. How are you?
Hi, out there. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm fine.
Yay. So we were chatting about where you're calling from. Tell everyone where you currently call home. And tell us a little bit about Botium and what it is.
Yeah, so we are located in the heart of Europe. We are sitting in Vienna. And yeah, Botium is, well, in one sentence, we are helping clients all around the globe to deliver flawless chatbots. And we are doing this by automating the essential testing and training phases, to end up with great user experience in production. This is mainly what we do.
Fantastic. And when you say bot experiences, are you talking about custom-built chatbots, bots specifically based on websites, based on Messenger, customer service? Give me a little more.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of the superpower of Botium. We are really testing everywhere on all channels, on all platforms. We are testing and training directly against the bot building platforms, directly against NLP engines, but on the other side also fully end-to-end against, as you said, websites, mobile apps on real devices, and Alexa skill if you want, a Facebook Messenger, a WhatsApp client, and also testing what comes afterwards. So if it is a customer support bot, we also test the service or the platform that is connected behind the bot, something like Genesis or stuff like that. So we are really going for the full end-to-end testing and experience.
Fantastic. So before we dive into a little bit about who you are and where you came from, I need to dig this a little bit more. So I deal mostly with marketing. Okay, so my business is helping other businesses basically provide rocket fuel to their marketing with chatbots, or I more specifically talk about conversational design and conversational marketing. So if I'm coming to you and I'm thinking of using Botium, how would my marketing conversation fit into what you do?
Well, we have a lot of support for conversation designers integrated. And actually, I just did an innovation forum together with leading conversation designers in Europe last week, because we showed them how easy it is to reflect all their changes and what they do in conversation models using Botium in the testing. For example, we have developed a crawler that crawls through the conversation model generated. And based on all possible paths, it generates test cases. And then depending on the size of your conversation model, I don't know, usually our client bots know a few hundred intents with a few hundred user examples behind. You end up in thousands of paths through this model. And creating this manually by a tester or whoever does it in the team, it's a hell of work.
Yes.
To be honest. And then this was really cool last week because the feature is pretty new and we were showing it live. And after 3 or 4 minutes, we had 20,000 test cases generated. And people were like, Jesus, this is such a time saver. So, and in general, we're trying to support everyone in the whole bot development lifecycle with tools. And it's not like it was with mobile websites or something where you said you need this test automation engineer or something. We're really trying to demystify a bit this complex thing and give everyone a tool set in his or her hand to do the testing and training and automate it.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how far we've come, right? Where before I do not consider myself a developer with any definition of that word. I am not. I know enough about tech to get myself in trouble. Excuse me. I know enough about tech to get myself in trouble. I know enough about tech to be able to break things. But to be able to take these tools that you are developing, that the other programs that I've used are developing, and use them to really improve our processes in our lives, the ability for us to get data or have conversations or sell things, it just is, it's not going away. I remember when I first started with messenger bots back in 2017, and I was deciding whether I was going to invest in learning about how to use these new platforms. And every single friend of mine, every single entrepreneur, everyone I knew was saying, oh, you know what, Mary, that's just going to be another squirrel that you're going to chase. It's just a fad. It's just going to go away. And you're going to waste so much time. Every single person, there was no one that was supportive of me diving into this, but it had already grabbed me by the throat. And it was not letting go. So I had to do it. And I am so thankful I did, because this is, I can really niche down into so many different areas and find a solution that will involve this kind of automation. It's really incredible. So now we're talking about incredible testing and following conversational flows. And it just blows my mind. All right, so let's back up a little bit. Before you started Botium, what were you doing for a job before you started and you became this amazing founder and CEO?
So thanks for the amazing. This is nice. Well, actually, I was running an IT consulting company. We were doing very traditional IT consulting, developing custom software, doing test automation and manual testing for big customers out there. And yeah, mainly for websites, web applications, mobile apps. We did all this stuff. And yeah, then suddenly this, it's kind of like your story. Also somewhere around 2017, there was this first big hype in conversational AI. And yeah, I keep saying it's there to stay. So I'm very sure that it will stay. And actually, it was for me a pretty hard decision to start with Botium, because I couldn't combine it with the old company. It was running very good. So I had invested a few years to build up this company, and I had a safe working place. Yeah, most probably till I retire. But I got up every morning and was so fascinated, yeah, by this stuff going on, and yeah, then it's like I think Steve Jobs said this: if you get up 3 times or something in a row in the morning and you are like, I should do something different, then you have to do it, and I did, yeah, and of course it was a big risk, but now it's 3 years later, and I didn't regret a single second. Yeah, it was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, because can you imagine in the next 5 years? I mean, we're talking only 3 years ago, so let's just go 2 years, right? I mean, it's changing so fast, and the applications of these tools are growing so rapidly that we, as people who are, they call them OGs, right? We're the old guys, and it's only 3 years ago, but we can choose anywhere we want to go with these skills. We can apply them to any situation. We just have to make sure it's profitable, right? They can afford us, right? And we can make a difference. Actually do something good for the business. Otherwise, there's no purpose, just to do it because it's fun, right? In the beginning, that's what everybody was like, well, what's this bot? It's just having a conversation. It's just fun. Why am I going to pay you to do that? It's like, no, you're not getting it. Wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally right. And I would just like to add, behind all the business KPIs, like what do I get out of it and so on, it's also about customer experience. Yeah? So what I see is, as I'm 36 now, yeah, and I would say I'm a digital native, and I'm expecting from a company that they offer me a chatbot. Yeah, because for example, today in Austria is a national holiday, and I wanted to know something about my telephone provider and 5G networks, and I'm really expecting that they offer me this chatbot experience on their website 24/7 to get information. I'm not expecting that someone is today sitting in a support center on a national holiday, but by far not. Yeah, people should spend it at home, but I'm expecting to give me a chatbot, and this is also something that is not that easy to measure, but it's something very important, I would say.
It is, I agree 100%. So the people on listening to this show probably know very well that I'm 20 years older than you are, And I have been married 38 years next week. And my amazing husband is the absolute opposite of me. Opposite. He does not own a cell phone. He has no Facebook account. He has no social media accounts. He has no clue, at least in the details of what I do. And he still prints things off and still expects to call a company when he has a question.
Mhm.
It's the opposite. He is very unique in this world. There are very few people like him. But the rest of us, because we are surrounded by this environment, we expect to be able to get our questions answered now. Because most of my students, half of my students are in Europe, half of them are in the US, half of them plus maybe a 2% are in Australia. So half in Europe, half in the US. And how do I do a live training when everyone is awake? Right? If I do that at noon Pacific, then that's 8 p.m., 8 to 10 p.m. in Europe, right? And it's like 4 or 5 a.m. in Australia. So most of us, you demand to get your questions answered on your time zone, not on the company's time zone. We are enough of a globally connected world that is the minimum expectation right now. And you're right. I expect companies to rise to that expectation of its customers because we're the ones driving the company, right? We're driving the innovation, hopefully. So tell me a little bit more about Botium then. So once you started getting in there and you were creating another company, what has been one of the biggest business obstacles you've faced, and how did you overcome it?
Mhm. Well, I I want to take 1 second to comment to your husband. So first, congrats for the 38 years. That's
Thank
that's
you.
becoming rare. People married really that long. But yeah, apart from that, just because I always have these people also in my keynotes, yeah, and I'm already prepared there with a slide called "Who wants to talk to a bot?" And then a lot of people are like still, yeah, I don't know, and some are really like, no, I don't want to. And then I play there an example of an audio file and ask them who thinks this was now a bot or this was a human being. Yeah. So, and most of the people are like, well, that was so good. The answer was perfect. This must have been a real human being. And at the end, it was a bot. Yeah. So the question is who really can identify if conversational AI is made really good, and in the meanwhile, we have the technologies for it, then you cannot distinguish any more in between those. Yeah? But
Yes.
yeah, coming back, biggest obstacles or impediments we have to overcome. So we are focusing on testing, on test automation, quality assurance, and this is in the meanwhile a real key enabler to make a so bot a really good working one. But still, and this is nothing new to conversational AI. Also, 15 years ago, it was mobile apps, and 20 years ago, websites. Big companies are like, we want to have a website, and then in the brains there is, we need money for development. Yeah, but people are not initially thinking about testing, and usually they have to fail, and then they realize, well, we need to invest in quality assurance. This is the same thing that happens today. Companies think when they make a deal with a big bot building platform, I mean, all the global IT players have their own solution, and they are awesome. Yeah, no matter if this is Watson service or if this is Dialogflow from Google or Microsoft Lewis, all of those have great solutions. But the thing is, if the NLP is untested and untrained, they are pretty dumb, to be honest. Yeah,
Yes.
and customers still have to realize this. But yeah, usually when they fail for the first time, then they knock on our doors. Of course, it would be easier if they immediately plan the
Yes.
testing. We all know as earlier as you find an error, the cheaper it is to fix. Yeah, maybe a few bucks in the development phase, but then in production it can cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, to be honest, the biggest the biggest impediment we have to overcome to really place this in the heads of people, that chatbots are software, and software needs to be tested.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you just hit on my one of my biggest pet peeves in this industry. So the majority of the people listening to us are going to be messenger developers, right? So they're or messenger bot builders. So they're going to be using programs like ManyChat or ChatFuel or Mobile Monkey or things like this. And so they're going to go in and they're going to get a client and they're going to create a conversation or a chatbot for that client. And it drives me crazy when these bot builders come in and say, okay, I'm going to build you this chat bot and I'm going to charge you $1,000. And then it's done and you have a chat bot. Well, how in the world are you going to know if it's going to be a solution that works or not if you don't iterate? Or as you talk about, do quality assurance, do testing. The first build, the initial build of this solution is nothing. It has no value to me at all without that other phase, because you don't know how it's going to perform until people go through it, right?
Exactly. And I mean, someone is who comes up with it's a one-time fee for developing a bot, has never done really a chatbot development. Yeah, because exactly like you said, after training it initially, yeah, you put it into production and you need to monitor what are your customers, your users expecting, what are they saying, and actually it's an infinite loop, yeah, the bot
Yes.
development life cycle. Of course,
Yeah.
you have the most probably the main efforts with the first development, the first initial training and testing and so on, but then you should really permanently improve it, learn from your
Yes. Yes.
customers, add new intents, cover user examples that were not covered before. Yeah.
Oh,
Unfortunately, people out there are making these offers. I know.
yes. It drives me really, it really, really drives me to distraction, because this is the positive and the negative of these solutions being so easily created, right? With the programs I've talked about, ManyChat, ChatFuel, they're very easy. You just put boxes together, connect them, and now you have a conversation. So that's a great thing. But it's also a terrible thing when you have someone doing that who has no strategy behind it, who has no understanding of how people communicate and what the bot should be saying, because it's not the tech of the bot that actually creates the solution. It's what you put in it. It's the actual conversation, the way the bot communicates, the way it talks, the words it uses, the slang terms, the personality, the persona. All of that is what's going to determine whether your bot is successful or not. And so if you don't go back, what we do is, and what I teach is, we go back when we build a solution, we go back and we look at every single button, every single interaction, every single text block, and we look at the click-through rate and the engagement rate of that one conversation, that one text block with a button, and we try and improve it. If that click-through rate is less than 40%, something's wrong with this conversation, and we need to improve that copy, or we need to change the way it's created, or we need to change the button, or we need to put a video, or we look at every single interaction to see how it's performing. And that's how we can get our bots to be so highly effective at the whatever the conversion might be. If you don't do that, you are missing an opportunity, a huge opportunity, and you are doing your client a disservice. Would you agree?
I totally agree, or I would even say I cannot agree more. Yeah, these are really the things that make the difference between a good bot and what I've said before, a so-so bot or a really bad bot. Yeah, I mean, the worst bots are for me those who have this fallback intent. Sorry, I don't understand. Yeah, I really can't see this anymore. And to be honest, they are even worse. So some are even crashing and revealing some confident data. And I just saw yesterday one that revealed in the web console than the technology used behind with an error message. And let's say for a normal user, this is not a big help, but for an attacker, if you know which technology is behind, is already a big step. Yeah? But I'm totally with you, and thanks God, bots are getting better. So these basic flaws, and I mean stuff like small talk and so on, the bot building platforms and have integrated already and pre-trained. So this is all working well, but we are really pushing it or to an extent, like you also explained it. Yeah, so we are doing a lot of research on how communication, how conversations are working, and just think about conversation is completely different in a spoken form when you're talking to someone versus when you're typing, yeah, stuff like that. And you have to take care of this also in testing, yeah, and training and other stuff. For example, we are integrating a lot of humanification testing right now. Yeah, so this usually comes when our clients are like, well, all intents are covered great, all kind of unexpected inputs from the customers we can handle great. We are sure we won't fail. Then I'm usually, well, let's hit some of our humanification algorithms. Yeah, and they are doing stuff, for example, yeah, let's say they are simulating human misbehavior, kind of. Yeah? For example, when someone says add a banana to my basket, they replace the word banana with a banana emoji. Yeah, and this stuffs like that. Yeah, the bots start to fail. Yeah, or there are users out there who hit the enter key after every word and so on. Yeah? And bots are starting to miss the context. Stuff like this. Yeah, so we are really pushing these stuffs to the limits. Or when we are doing audio-based testing, we have a lot of algorithms included. So perfect, nicely synthesized audio, most of the bots understand. Yeah, speech to text, text to speech is a problem that was solved years ago. It's working great. But usually when we start with, well, let's add some background noise, let's make it sound like a poor GSM phone call and so on, then they all start to fail immediately. And we have to take into consideration that the phone networks are not perfect. Yeah? Not everyone has a perfect connection and so on. So we're doing a lot of stuff there. Or maybe a last thing to mention, we are working with the Technical University in Vienna on a tone analyzer that we integrate into the testing that will give you a few dimensions of the conversation. Yeah? So we will be able to tell you, well, the customer talking to the bot or the bot itself is now very informal, or the other way around. He's very nice, or he is getting rude, stuff like this. Yeah? So if on bot side, you can easily identify, well, the customer is already, let's say, pissed. Yeah, it's the customer who, from a telecom company who cannot connect to the internet and needs it very quickly now. Yeah,
Yes.
it's if the bot knows how the situation is, how the tone is in the communication, he can immediately start to de-escalate and so on. And stuff like this we are working on. So it's not pure testing like user says hi and bot should reply with good morning. Yeah, so this is of course also covered, but yeah, we are really taking it here to the limits wherever possible.
Wow. Yeah, we've gone way beyond that. Just hello and good morning.
Yeah.
But the bots that I and many of the listeners are dealing with are much more rudimentary than that. We are really just a decision tree kind of bot, and we can definitely put some dialogue flow or some very rudimentary AI in there, but the majority is really decision tree. And so in terms of testing, we're talking about a very different situation and a very different technology to test a rudimentary chatbot that just communicates in a decision tree through Messenger versus a full-blown customer service bot for Coca-Cola or Nike or some large company that has lots of variations, lots of options, and you really need to train that bot to be able to communicate effectively for a brand, to keep the brand identity, keep the brand promise, all those things. I truly believe the tech is incredible, but I really truly believe that it's what you put in the tech that's going to determine the success. And that has everything to do with persona. It has everything to do with the communication and the actual conversation and where we're trying to lead people. What are we trying? What is the purpose? What's the conversion of this? Where are we trying to lead them? And if we can keep that in mind, no matter what type of bot we're building, then we're going to at least not guarantee success maybe, but at least have a much higher chance of success if we keep that in mind instead of just building something just to build it. Wow. Okay. So let's, a little bit personally, what has been one of the biggest difficulties in your life, not just in your business, that you have had to face, the biggest obstacle, and how did you overcome that?
Biggest obstacles in my life. Well, to be honest, there were not a lot. I was pretty lucky till now. Yeah, as I mentioned before, my first company was running very good. We were doing IT consulting. Then there was the hard step to give this up. Um, well, unfortunately, my personal life is till now pretty good so far.
So what made you decide to, was it a company you started or was it a company that hired you to run it?
The one I had before, or
Yeah, the one
yeah,
before.
yeah, was also one I started. Was the typical university thing. I was studying. I was a bit bored nearby, and I was like, well, let's do our own thing. And yeah, started it, and yeah, became very quickly very successful. Um, I mean, very successful. We had close to 10 employees, was now not an enterprise company, but next to studying, it was good. And we had big customers here in Austria, very good reputation. So therefore, and your first company is always kind of your baby a bit. So
Yes. Yes.
was was a bit hard to say, well, now it's time to do something different. But yeah, as I've said at the beginning, I don't regret a single second.
How did you do that? I mean, my first company, I held on so tightly. That was one of my biggest mistakes. I held on through the crash of 2008, and it was like, I can't let go of this. This is, if this fails, then I'm a failure. It was completely my baby. And I had to really learn to go, okay, I am not my business. I am a separate entity from this thing that I've created, and it's okay. I'm not going to die if it dies, right? But that was very difficult to me. How did you do that?
Well, I would say in general, I'm one of these persons. If there is a door, I'm always curious what's behind, and I go through. Yes, I'm not the person who is like there could be something bad behind. Let's wait and don't open it. I'm more the person who goes through, and as I've already said, I couldn't sleep anymore. Yeah, it was every day like this. uh, We need to work with this chatbots thing. Yeah, and I mean, before we founded Botium, my co-founder Florian and I together, we handed in our idea of an open source test automation framework for conversational AI, and we developed the first MVP, and we handed this in for a startup contest here in Vienna, and we immediately won it, and they sent up to the whole Europe version of it and so on, and it was already kind of a success story before we founded it. So or in another way to say it, we had quickly 100,000 downloads of this open source test automation framework, and considering that it is a pure B2B thing and a new technology and so on, it was pretty clear for us, well, there is a business model behind, and we were not afraid of losing everything. And to be honest, if we would have, well, it was totally worth it. Yeah. So the last 3 years were absolutely the best I've had in my life, and well, of course, before I was safer, let's call it like this, and um, could have gone, I don't know, 3 times a year on a vacation. These times are over right now as a startup founder. But the difference is I'm not looking forward to go on vacation right now. So it's because every day is so exciting. We have such a great team here to work with. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it really, that's exactly, you just described it exactly the way I feel. It really is something that, like I said, I just say it grabbed me by the throat and would not let go. And I could not stop thinking about this. And I still wake up every day thinking about how I can do things differently, who I can work with, how, looking at a solution that I can create. It is still captured my attention, my passion, my excitement, and really wanting to learn. And again, bringing it back to my husband is one of those people that if there's a door, it's like, oh, well, wait a minute, there might be something really bad behind that door. You better watch out. So I'm the one going to open it, and he's the one pulling me back going, wait, hang on. And sometimes, I have to be honest, sometimes that has been a very good thing, because he definitely is my grounding. I'm the balloon, he's got the string, and he definitely keeps me a little bit more grounded than just going off and doing whatever without any thought or possibility of anything happening. So yeah, my poor husband. I think I'm probably thinking of him a little bit more because we just came back from our first vacation, just the two of us since we had kids, and my kids are 19 and 22. And we
Oh,
just love traveling with them. But this was a time when we went on a hike, and we live very near Yosemite National Park. It's one of my absolute favorite places to visit and hike in. And we just went off and had the first vacation since and been married a long time, obviously. So, but it was amazing. And then our anniversary is coming up, so that's probably why I'm thinking about him so much. All right, so you know what, we could talk all day long, and I really do I really hope we can look forward to another conversation between the two of us, because I would love to dive in more about Botium and see what you're doing and just absorb all these wonderful things. So I can't wait to do that even more. But let's kind of go back and say, all right, I think we're all going to live to at least 150 years old, right? Our technology is growing and changing so fast, and I think we're going to live a long time. So, long time from now, at least 100 years, someone's going to look at Christoph's life and say, we need to write a biography about the things that this incredible human has done. What do you think the title of that biography would be?
well, that's a good question. Actually, I like short things, bringing stuff to the point. So if I would write it on my own, so an autobiography, I would call Chatbot Pioneers, double point, and then my name maybe being
Yay. And so
one of this kind.
would it be an autobiography, or would you have someone else write it for you?
I would prefer someone else, to be honest. I'm
I
most
know.
probably not the best writer, and usually I see more I'm very critical with myself, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess other people would put me into a better light.
So who do you think would write it?
Well, I actually, as I'm an IT guy, I like the biographies of Steve Jobs, of Elon Musk, and so on. So the guys behind, yeah, I think it was Walter Isaacson for
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Jobs. He
Yes, yes.
spent many years with him, so really build up the knowledge, what's going on, and then was not writing some random stuff. And I
Yeah.
think it was Ashley Vance on Elon lately. So these guys, I would be honored.
Yeah. We call in our household, we call Elon Musk, we call him Papa Musk. He's definitely someone we look up to, and I'm just in awe of this human. All right. And so this person who writes your biography, and definitely pioneer you are, what would be the quote that they would say you lived your life by? Remember, this is not the quote how you're living now. At the end of your life, looking back, what would be the quote that represents the way you lived your life?
So there's one quote that I have also at Botium given out as a mindset, and we are really trying to following us. And this is valid for my private life and also for the business life. In business life, we are asking ourselves every day, permanently, is what we are doing, is our product as awesome as it could be? And most probably the answer is no, because there's always some space for little improvements, yeah. And then the follow-up question is always, what can we do to make it more or greater or more great? Yeah, and this mindset we are really living here with the guys, and that's also valid for my private life. Yeah, it's about am I doing everything as good as it's possible? Are we getting really out the best of it? And what can we do to make it even better? Yeah.
I think that's why I've enjoyed our conversation so much, sir, because that's exactly every day I wake up, right? Every day we wake up, we need to improve. We need to look at how we can make life better for us, for business, for the people we love. Really, how can we improve ourselves? That really is the goal. And I don't think we ever stop until we ultimately stop. Because otherwise, what's the purpose?
Exactly. If you won't stop improving and learning, then what's the purpose? Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Well, thank you. I so appreciate this time you've spent with me. I definitely have enjoyed it and cannot wait for the next conversation. And in the meantime, I hope Vienna is absolutely gorgeous and treating you well.
Thank you very much. Also here from my side, thanks for everyone listening to us. It was a great pleasure, and I'm also looking forward to speak to you again. And maybe if you come to Vienna, we could have a nice coffee somewhere.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the My Chatbot Life podcast. To watch this video chat, visit mychatbotlife.com and get all the rocket boosters you need for your own chatbot success.